Lovers! Hello. Sage, my boy, thank you, my prince. Love immediately popping on and getting a message from a beloved. Guys, what up? We back. We here. It is Wednesday. It's 3 o'clock. I get it. 5.5 hours later than normal. I get it. But sono qua. Ma sono qua. And these days, that's all I can fucking hope to do, is be here. Hope you're doing well. Been a crazy couple weeks for your boy, but we're here to talk about fantasy, not to dwell upon the achings of the real world. Let me, other than just saying hi, and I hope you're great, and thanks for being here, let me just open by sort of recapping last night's session. This was our 5th in this Fallen Coast campaign. 5th sesh. And the party, the previous session, had gone before the sort of lead merchant of this traveling mercantile city, a man by the name of the tradesman. Now, the OGs know that the tradesman is in fact the shambling man. The shambling man. But a lot's changed in the 160 years plus since the world fell and magic was stripped from the world of the Fallen Coast. It's now called Athos, aka Cursed or Dust. And beginning a campaign, there's so many ways you can do it, right? Like the tavern in the city, the tavern in the outskirt town, holed up in a fort, locked up in prison. You choose. But for me, I'm essentially like basing this off of 4th edition Dark Sun. And, I know the world's going to be kind of tough and gnarly and out there in the fucking, the sands and the high desert and the fucking blasted rock, etc. And so it felt appropriate to kind of introduce them to some sort of cityscape so that they could honestly catch a fucking vibe, late honk, as to what the deal is in the world that we're now playing in. How comparatively low resource, comparatively low magic, and also comparatively to a normal, or at least my last high fantasy Sword Coast campaign, is that the average NPC is at best going to be neutral, maybe lawful neutral. You'll get some good in there, but a lot of chaotic neutral, a lot of neutral evil, a lot of just selfishness and justification by way of violence. So what kind of man would run a city that is the last bastion of free trade, right? But also of magical cachet, where there are enough, items, articles of attuning, of heightening, to justify a steady stream of people. The shambling man was like, a fey-enchanted gleeman. He did have a lot of stuff he would trade, etc. But in my mind, the tradesman became the centerpiece of the city because he was the one that was able to almost use his own inventory of magical items, of magical resource, to build out a city that is able to drift atop and amongst the sand. And the party is such a mixed bag. And I'm getting to know these characters in the second campaign. And essentially one of them is from Caravanity, was born there. And the other is a guy that came in, a young elf, entered the city with his family and then lost that family and a lot of his freedom with it. But for individuals born before the fall of the world, which is all of the party, all they know is this land of blight, of lacking, of dog eat dog. But a lot of the older NPCs have experienced something different, have lived through something different, right? So the tradesman was sort of waxing and waning, wishing for how it used to be. And the party ultimately, because one of them was from Caravanity, owed a debt to the tradesman. We're trying to make this sort of exchange, an item for another item. And the specifics of the deal were negotiated such that this member of the party had to go do something for the tradesman. And the tradesman obligated them all. Keep this man alive, because he needs to do something for me. That something is travel to the Endless Dunes, to the Howling Sands, to investigate some rumors circulating around the Crimson Monolith, and this strange aberration of almost like a sentient storm. And the party did a lot of other things, right? A lot of just like cruising around the city, a lot of negotiating. They're preparing to do things. They're needing to stock provisions before they head out into the desert. And as they're getting ready to leave, they are introduced to the fact that that members of the Golden Guard, members of sort of the peacekeepers of Caravanity, are being led out by one of the main captains, what's called a purse keeper, this man by the name of Baradon. And that Baradon is leading this group of Golden Guards out to the Crimson Monolith to investigate the rumors there and to see about this sentient embodiment of Sandstorm called the Howling Sands. Essentially, the same mission that the party was just tasked with. I've never set up that cleanly of like I hesitate to say two-party system, God save us. But I've never set up that cleanly of a antithesis group or an alternate group set up from the party that is clearly going after the same goals. BBEGs do that sometimes. Definitely a bit of that whenever they were dealing with the dragon that was like pretty well known and had been fucking up an area for several years. That had drawn other adventuring parties that are like, fuck it, I'm gonna get in there and kill the dragon myself. But for the party to be very low level, to be coming before this man that runs the city, they end up, negotiating, kind of being negotiated is more accurate, and then needing to accept this mission and go out some 4, 5, 6 days into the desert. To then discover that a more capable member of this same like civic bureaucracy, a purse keeper, is taking guards from Caravanity and going to the same place for the same purpose as the party. That's fucking weird. And, yo, Zeno, what up, dog? Please. Ever hydrate, my prince. Cheers to you, good sir. Ugh. Needed it. I also have a smoothie right here, man. Frozen mango, banana, peanut butter, yogurt, little black tea, some lemon juice, and a splash of limeade. Oh my God, man. Sick, man. Where were you camping? That's so nice to pop out of the city. Or is cabin like some sort of con that I don't know about? It's like, no, bro, Cabin Con in Denver. Oh, I love that, Toes. Appreciate that shout. Yeah, man, it's Wednesday. It ain't the morning. I got bumped to another time slot by myself. Okay. So they got sent a lot of different places, but I'm gonna rip this right here. So much of prep for me is like legitimately editing this document and just moving the relevant spots to where they need to be. It ain't much, but it's honest work. Grandparents' house, yes, yes, yes. Used to be an actual cabin. Man, that's epic. That's epic. In my mind, it was like a familial property. Correct. And I love that it was once a cabin. Man, my dad's dad, we called him Papa, but my grandfather, he owned a cabin up in Chautauqua, which is like a little spot on the outskirts of Boulder, Colorado. And man, it was so beautiful. I mean, like, just crazy beautiful. But me and my brothers went to Denver in March because we were going to some of the NCAA basketball, the March Madness tournament. They had the end of the regionals there. And great experience, super fun to kick it. But my parents had sold this cabin years ago, probably 35 years at this point. I don't even know. I think it was like mid-90s. And to see the area now, we all were like, fuck, why'd they sell that cabin? Fuck. And not even like, oh, it'd be worth so much more. It would. More just the reality of I hadn't been there as an adult. I hadn't been there outside of being, 2-3 years old or whatever. But I mean, Colorado, I love so much, man. But any beautiful space where you're kind of getting out there, a forest, a lake, a mountain range, the beach. Agreed, I forget the logic. Like, it went into buying a property in Houston. So, like, it was transitioned in a net positive way financially, I believe. But still, it's like, yeah, let's not. There's other ways to get liquid or other ways to use income to do something else. But we were all just like, we couldn't let it go. We're like, oh, fuck. But what are you? Is that California? And feel free to not talk about it if you don't want. I'm just trying to picture the former cabin vibe. Okay, so the Howling Sands, that will be like a later on thing, man. I'm honestly gonna need to like keep moving that down. I'm gonna honestly just move this down and put that with the floating hooks. Yeah, cool. Great. Bonk, 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 bonk. Let's go. You did it. Johnny did it. Oh yeah, we did it. So more. When my grandparents aren't around anymore, I'm pretty sure we're going to maintain the house. Wisconsin. Got it. No, it's real. It's real, man. I think part of what strips death of its power is like genuinely acknowledging its presence. The absoluteness. Also much easier for me to say than to practice, But I'm glad your grandparents are still with us, man. And I know what you mean. It's like crazy to think about. Like my whole family, we grew up in Houston. No one is there but my younger brother now. And it's kind of trippy where I'm like, I'm rarely going to Houston. He got married in the fall, end of last year. And it was great to go back, great to have a reason to, great to kick it. But times they be a changing. That's the beauty of the world. And honestly, that's what I'm loving so much about this campaign is that like characters that lived that are more than 160, 70, 80 years old knew a world radically different from what it is. And when you talk about what it is now, and whenever you talk about like elves and dwarves, a species that can live for 400, 500 years, like imagine how crazy that would be to be middle-aged and then witness the great loss, the unraveling of magic, the subsequent deterioration of the natural world. As condensation dries up, as moisture is lost, the the soil itself becomes infertile, is ripped up. There's massive erosion. There's an enormous power in truth. Yeah. The body resonates with it. Read a book called The Wise Heart by Jack Kornfield, which I highly recommend. It's just like, I don't know. He is a Buddhist. I guess it's sort of transposing Buddhist philosophy for the West in very digestible ways, but it's not. It maintains its integrity and its truth and the truth of the message. But a lot of that is acknowledging death in a way that doesn't really happen in the West. It's so scary and kind of ignored. Maybe that's why we play D&D or video games. I'm playing Elden Ring like, oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, no. But there is a power in truth. I think that gives art a lot of power, right? All right, baby boy. So, cutting across the plains. Party is cut. Fuming behind them. And have an outfitted sand skimmer. I think sand skiff is the smaller one. Yeah, man. I truly believe that the overlap of religion in its key points is absolute. And so much of how Buddhism has at least been available for me to sort of approach and take in bits of, it does seem so like rooted in like honesty, in almost like being able to go inward in a caring way, to thus be available to go outward to the world in a caring way, in a compassionate way. I say as I knock things over, have compassion. But amen to that, Xenitas. I mean, we just doing what we got to do to live. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to live out here, bro. Let's go. Okay, land and have an outfitted sand skiff waiting for them. Who will steer? An enormous swinging rudder. And one tall sail on a rotating mast. Okay, cool. So true. That would be a great cut. Just like throw away your television. It's hard to know the best way to like intake anything. I think reading is pretty safe, but even then, obviously, you want to be mindful what the fuck you're taking in. But it's hard, bro. So much of like what is represented to us, in my opinion, are like lies by way of lies of omission, where it's kind of like let's talk about corporate tax and global warming and the darkening of the oceans. Like, let's prioritize this shit. Let's get in on that, you know? So then it'll be basically following in the trail of the golden caravan. That's what I'm going to call it. And let's just go ahead and like generate some ideas, because this, I mean, is what it's all about. But this is really, who really knows how long this section will be. I think they'll probably spend in-game at least 4 days traveling, maybe 5. But that will probably be at least 2 sessions, maybe 3. And I kind of want to have some ideas for things that they will come across, as well as some cool stuff for the evenings, for the night, whenever the temperature plummets in the desert, and they are perhaps approached by lower members of the Golden Guard or the Lady of the Black Rock, who perhaps reveals how she is there against her will, you know? There are a lot of problems to fix, you know. I think it begins with connected communication. And not that we've solved anything here today, but this is what I'm talking about, man. You telling me your thoughts. Me telling you my thoughts. Us being like, cool, let's think about it. But when we as a world, as a planet, left, right, blue, red, whatever, the sense that something is wrong is extremely present and pervasive, you know? So stay on it. There can be aversions to hard things. But stay with it. So 8 Golden Guards, Baradon, and Lady of the Black Rock. I love this Dark Sun music, man. I feel like I'm in like an SNES game. I'm like, let's fucking go. Yeah, exactly, Zeno. But hey, man, keep talking about it. Keep sending some love, checking in. I'm trying to be better about that in LA because it's so closed off. Just trying to chop it up with people, you know? In oh, awesome. Weather has been really nice. It's been actually like rainy and gray yesterday. But overall, the last 2 weeks in SoCal have been as advertised. We've been chilling. Is your brother in the military? What's he doing in San Diego? I don't know why I lead with military. Is he in the Coast Guard? What's going on? Trust Baradon with good reason. Open. Create an opening. There it is. The final broker. Fucking nailed it. Oh, I said Coast Guard. That was just for the punchline. I don't even think they have Coast Guard. I mean, they do. There's a Coast Guard presence, but... Well, that's badass. Appreciate him holding it down. I like San Diego a lot. I like am rarely down there, you know. But I probably spent about like 2.5 weeks and 12 years. That's crazy. But it's a great spot. So many little beaches. Now, the Howling Sands are this moment that's right there, but Baradon will discover Crimson Monolith is the untended gate. We'll seek whatever lies beyond. So let's kind of spitball a little bit here, gang. Still haven't gone? Zeno, pull up. Honestly, I was told ChatGPT does a great job of helping to like isolate airlines and days to find a low time, a economical time to buy purchase a ticket for a flight if you're not constricted by needing to be there the weekend of the 17th or whatever. But yeah, man, go out there. Check it out. Before it needs to be checked. It's a great little spot. Like, I feel like the downtown is like quite built up, but it's so walkable outside of that. But there aren't a lot of really big buildings. So the vibe is kind of like this like pocketed, spread out, like enormous beach town. But let's spitball, because like the attitudes toward the party. So he's done in a few months, so I won't have a reason to go after this year. Man, how long is it? 2 years? 3 years? Probably even shorter than that. I don't know. I know sometimes you have to go for part of like more or less the training, and then sometimes you're like deployed, right? So it's like he was in 4. Wow, okay, got it. Dude, you will not regret going. I'm telling you, man. I haven't tried it, but I could see that being very effective. Hey, how we doing, Mr. Robot? I'm looking to fly out between these dates. And then whatever you, preferably from a Tuesday to a Friday, preferably from Thursday to Sunday, whatever works for you. But it's so good at data scraping. I just love it. Google Flights was good at that for a while, but then I think they kind of, somehow were influenced by some sort of, I assume, money. And it does not feel like they are. Okay, well, Mama knows best. But we all know that Google ain't playing with a straight hand. So originally I thought that originally I thought that maybe Baradon is, because he's sort of like a very polished but hard man, a soldier. He might have been a paladin if they still existed in this world, but he's a man very handy with a sword. And in a land devoid largely of metal, he has in fact a proper longsword, which is a huge stunt. But originally I was like, well, maybe Baradon, because he's crooked, because Baradon is like secretly plotting against the tradesmen, maybe he wants to kill the party. Because he's like, no, like I don't want you to find out anything or get in my way. The problem with that is like it's pretty final. It kind of like limits the party's ability to interact with this other caravan heading to the same place. The other thing is that, the party is level 2. If 8 guards and one of their captains descends upon them, like they're going to get chopped to pieces. I don't think all of the Golden Guards would be down for that. They'd be like, what the shit? What's going on? But I think at least 4 of the Golden Guards are loyal to Baradon. Cool. I think that's a important point. So I think Baradon is wary. Why would the tradesmen send them? strikes him they might just be babysitters. How would he react to that, you know? Well, regardless, I think one of the non-loyal guards will come and alert the party to some degree. Non-conspiratorial. Bum, 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 bum. I haven't named these guys yet, but faithlessness. Cool. So this I'm just going to highlight because I think this is a good idea, and it probably would happen, you know, on that third night kind of a thing, something like that. And I think the Lady of the Black Rock also approaches. Desert squirrel. Okay, another spitball. Get the spit ready. All right. I think that the reason the Lady of the Black Rock is there is much the same reason that one of the party members, Finn, the wizard, was sent by the tradesman to go. Is that inside the Howling Sands is some weird-ass magical phenomenon. And what it really is like one of these upside-down growing trees. There's also kind of like a little house. And it's Mildred Backbrook, the fae that was. And it's her trying to use this ring to overcome the like the blight, like the onset of this loss of magic in the world. And the long-term goal here is I'm introducing to the party, and they've already seen it, is that like, okay, shit, there's this like black ichor, this like dark, weird, gooey substance that seems associated with the corruption and death of the natural world that's now just standard here in our campaign. And that whenever it first was happening, some people tried to stop it and perhaps nearly did. And now the party, as they sort of trace that back, as they sort of draw these conclusions on what almost worked before, and now how they might be able to reprise that successfully, they'll be introduced to moments where it's almost like flashbacks. I'm realizing a lot of this is like influenced by Breath of the Wild by Zelda. Just with both the blight and with both the sort of those like pockets of memory where you see it how it used to be. There's tons of other examples of when that happens. But to me, it's compelling. And in this case, like an efficient storytelling device. But she approaches in a wild shape. What the fuck y'all doing here? The hell y'all doing here? She fell into obligation to the tradesman. When the boy, Mace, confessed to her healing his chest. Come out to assist in determining why what it means, how it can be used. Okay, great. Now again, this is like they're about to set out on a caravan. It's going to be multiple sessions. It's going to be in-game, like 4 to 6 days of travel. I'll have them roll for the weather likely, and then every other day, we'll probably roll to see if anything bad happens. Like if there's any, encounter negatively, or they're attacked, or they wander into a pit of antlions or whatever. So I want to know, like, if you, well, obviously the chat is quite tame, but even like, if you have any thoughts that are within this space of caravan, desert, particularly a smaller group, almost like the inferior party that's trailing behind the larger official party. Now, I know what I'll do in terms of the weather table. I know what I'll do in terms of the random events table. But once they should have reached this area, the Endless Dunes, which I'll pull up here. And this might give us a better idea. I'll put up my map with the markings upon it. So they're basically like here, the forked tongue, like just beneath the like R and the K. And they're going to be heading here, Crimson Monolith. I'm calling the last drink the shaky drink, but this area in between, this sort of stretch of these endless sand dunes, are where this manifested, personified storm, this living, howling, swath of wind and sand, has been spotted, has been witnessed, has, wreaked havoc and ruin. And I'm like, really in my mind, I'm like, will they even be coming back to Caravanity? I feel like probably not. They'll probably get all the way out here. I told them about White Sand, which was sort of an homage to the Great Salt Flat. Let me just see if I can find that. Is it a White Sand horror? Dark Sun? A silt horror. There it is. Okay. Now let's just read through this briefly. Beyond the Sea of Silt, there is a land of forests and lakes. Yeah, they are saying that not all of Athos is as ruined. Ugh! I've been hacked, guys. Okay, well, let's say strike for fandom. But a silt horror is what I'm all about these days. Look at this, a white silt horror. It's like beneath the sand, attacking with enormous tentacles. Let's fucking go. But anyway, the White Sands were teased. The shaky drink, they have reasons to want to go there. The Crimson Monolith is going to answer some questions, but give rise to a dozen new questions. And so I want to lock down the motivations of the NPCs. And I think we have a lot of compelling kind of stuff along the way. But I guess what I'm working towards is, because I just have no idea which direction my party wants to go, I don't want to try to prepare super deeply as if I do. Yeah. Okay. Let us chat. Yeah, I like the idea. Where are you? Okay, Lady of the Blackrock approaches. Defile something, that's my fear. Okay, attitudes towards the party, we got that locked. The Endless Dunes. Lands to the south. Great Salt Flats, right? That's what they're called. Yeah. Let me see what kind of winged creatures we have in our Terrors of Athos. Let me just crank this open real quick. What I'm doing right now is just jotting down some stuff that I'll adjust one of my random tables with for this journey. It's always, fun to put together a random, kind of encounter table or a random loot table or whatever it is, because you kind of get to pick some of your favorites and then be like, ooh, who knows? But the good stuff that isn't combat or isn't like a shortcut, the good rolls, making those feel grounded, like a positive roll, let's say, if we make it 20, or 1, whatever, however we set the random table. But going across the Endless Dunes, would that be them seeing the top of like a chimney or like this strange stone rectangle that they look in and it actually leads below? And what they've discovered is like a blown over ruin with maybe some, I don't even know, some healing potions inside, some gems, maybe some long forgotten but sealed and protected from the air iron weapons. That is something I think would be cool. What? Burrowing. How dare you? Growing? No. A Hurum? Cool. Beetles? No. No, I don't want to... now we're talking. A Cloud Ray? What the shit? This is crazy. You guys see that? A flying ray? I'm not sure if as a player if I would tap out. I'm like, yo. No. I'm done, dog. Pull me out. Stop the simulator. Through the skies, cloud rays have a broad, flattened body. They're speckled brown with a drab of olive and white. Down the back bulge runs a spine. They're bulging. Okay, the zip. Wow. Okay, these are big as fuck. Interesting. So, can I see the stat block? Come on, y'all. Cool. Oh, this is some like old school shit. Yeah, this looks like 2E or 3. Hide, listen. I love it. Telekinesis? Holy smokes. A creature that is flung by a cloud ray after being snatched travels 100 feet and takes 10d6 points of damage. If the cloud ray is flying, the creature takes this damage or appropriate falling damage, whichever is greater. Wow. What the shit? So I think they have to hide from a group of cloud rays. This will be an homage to the Hells. Maybe something that changed whenever Scaravan rose once again. These burrowers started to fly. I like that idea. Once landbound. These great rays. price. Cool. Discovery of a lost. What would it even be? Of a lost temple. So it feels like really good to me. Keeping much within. Well preserved. Iron halberds. Wow. Yeah. So, like, this for me is sometimes even harder than coming up with appropriate combat. Is answering the question of what would it look like if I'm having them roll for travel on sort of a random encounter scale. What does it look like if they get really lucky and roll really well? Typically, it's like, oh, we found a deserted island. Oh, we came upon these people that served us dinner, gave us a place to stay, etc., etc. But on a trip across the endless dunes, what would that look like? Maybe they come up across a hatch of some sort of egg. A crodlu. Grade it. Cool. Hatch of crodlu. Eggs. I like that. 2d12 eggs. Yo, how many eggs this boy laying over here? Yo, people over here laying eggs? Okay. So they will eventually get to the Howling Sands. And I don't know exactly. Imbuing. This was funny. I had this acolyte come up and say thanks, and she was going to try to kiss him. She'd heard a poem he'd spun about Olub, about this god she worships, and another acolyte in the city of Menzogaradon. And it was so funny. He like kind of played it off. He's like, no, I'll kind of turn away, take it on the cheek. And it would have been a nice like bonus, but it would have ultimately left him with 4 points of exhaustion, a loss to wisdom. So a really cool moment, I thought. And like a fun example for me of where at least I need to soak up the joy of being a dungeon master. I love prepping and trying to come up with fun, compelling, creative things that are truthful to the world and honor the narrative, but are also going to be compelling for these player characters that feel kind of tailored to them or intriguing to them. And obviously it's fucking collaborative, you know, so it takes a couple to tango, but yeah, I like the sound of this. Okay, so once they get there, we'll have the Crimson Monolith itself. What does it mean for the the moon to phase, to finally wax or wane whenever it hasn't, whenever it doesn't, for months, for years. It hangs like this narrow crescent, unmoving. And that's part of what like drew people here, was the, you know, kind of the awareness of like, wow, hey, like we saw a full moon. There was a full moon that was visible in the shadow of the Crimson Monolith. And that's because of the thin ties still remaining to Saloon, to this like old god. So the Untended Gate, that's a pretty cool part of Dark Sun lore that like connects the material plane with the astral. And you know, I want at some point for this campaign to really like have to make a jump to space. In my mind, that's where the Dark Ichor comes from. That's where this sort of tainting, this corruption, and that, you know, rift between material and astral, and this corruption that happened was because to pull magic, to use it, to cast it, that exchange is kind of happening almost in the same way that like we as humans see things and feel things, but we don't see the full spectrum of light or the entire energetic pattern and how it interacts of ourselves, of cars, of cats, of dogs, of what and whomever. Yeah. So let me just read what I have. The Howling Sands rests within here, a personified sandstorm, both marauding and sentient. Misspelled that. At its center is a small wooden hut, one room, thatched roof. Within it is a still burning fire with a small kettle, and bubbling out and over the edges of the kettle is a thick, dark substance, the Dark Ichor, seeping in from the astral plane. The hut is built into and inside of the enormous roots of a tree? Unclear. Seems almost like the thatched roof you viewed from the exterior now stretches upward, infinitely. Just add that for clarity. Now seems to stretch. Yo! Hey, drink from it, man. You're gonna make it. Honestly, that's the type of player I am. I'm gonna press the button. I have to press the button, please. Okay, unclear. That review finish now seems to stretch upward infinitely. Stretching their arms, crisscrossing, almost as if the tree's growing in reverse, its roots exposed. Hey, we know the drills, you know. Like, why are we here as humans that are then going to play theoretical games? If not to press the button, at least in the theoretical games. Come on. Come on. It's like, how did you get here? St. Peter asked me. And I just said one word. Button. And he nodded and he knew. Okay, from Everland to the grandfather tree. Okay, so why the Howling Sands are here. Let me just get this where it needs to be. Legend of the Dark Step. That's a badass turtle that's coming in from the astral plane. But here, like Mildred, like what's like how will Mildred react? And also, like this is what's kind of tripping me out here. Is is I created, honestly, it's kind of like the through line of the campaign in many ways. This kind of story, this legend that this altruistic family, this sort of rich merchant and loving mother kind of combination, had created these rings out of Ayun stone, which is like a very magical, very powerful sort of naturally occurring piece of stone. Like magic gold, if you will. Gold is in the stone, but you know what I mean. And that whenever the world unfortunately took this turn, that these Ayun stones, these sort of naturally attuned magical rings, were used by some of the daughters of this family who'd been gifted the rings to push back this dark ichor, this blight, this enormous loss that took and corrupted the world. And in my mind, it was really only tracking Mildred. I mean, there was 4 sisters and four rings, right? But where are we? Yeah, cool. But I have these 4 daughters, Nancy, Betty, Felice, and Mildred. Fire, water, earth, and star, sort of imbued with the rings. The party has 2 of these. Holepa! Get in here, legend. Oh, shit. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the afternoon slot. How we doing, Holepa? I had a great sesh last night. The party is kind of heading out into the southern tablelands, the endless sand dunes here, towards the Crimson Monolith. It's going to be very fun. But how we living? How are our games going? What's going down? I'm right now theorizing about how whenever they get to the Crimson Monolith, they're going to experience the Howling Sands, and once they get within it, if they do get within it, they're going to see one of the Backbrook daughters in there. One of the 4 daughters that had these 4 rings. In my mind, pre-campaign, I thought it was really only going to be Mildred that, tried to make it in there. But now I'm kind of like, well, maybe it makes more sense for like each of the sisters to have been captured by this dark ichor, to be like trapped in there. And as they're collecting these rings and going to these different locations, they're experiencing different kind of interfaces with different sisters. I just don't know. Yeah. I don't know what is most compelling to me. I think that it makes the most sense to just make it Mildred. Because if we start having all these different characters that are coming out and they've been suctioned in, I mean, they're all going to bleed together like one sister for the most part, I think. So I think we keep it as Mildred. That makes sense to me. Mildred. The ichor bubbles out of the pot, but Mildred seems to not notice as it sizzles across the fire and toward her leg. This to me is like, Fae and divine presence. A forest spirit, an acolyte to Maliki, who answered Mildred's prayer here. This is also Roth's patron. Will speak, confirming what the spirit relays. I think that'll be very fucking cool. The question is, do the sisters that her family, are they in there? Well, why not both? All the remaining 4 sisters were in there. The only Mildred survived till now. That's an interesting angle. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I get all of that. But are you kind of saying that all of the sisters were trying to push back this corruption, this dark ichor? They used their rings to try to do so. All of them are trapped within the ichor, and that they sort of had to fight to survive within this kind of corruption, this sort of like dark space. That's interesting. I think that's compelling as fuck. It's also pretty fucking metal. You know what I'm saying? It's metal as hell. 4 did go in, 1 survived. Interesting. I think that is compelling as fuck, actually. Because maybe she survived, maybe Mildred survived because she had her ring on her. The other sisters either had were using them for something else. Perhaps I don't know why they wouldn't be on. Because whenever they saw the dark ichor and saw Mildred emerge from it a couple sessions ago, and they successfully got her out, they beat back this sort of ichor. And now Mildred's there. She's sort of confused and turned around. And she has on her finger a ring. Me and my sisters, we all had rings. And it seemed the longer that she was there, the more that her memory came back to her. Interesting. So if the players messed up the summoning, a corpse of her sisters will be spit out. That's hilarious. Now, that in and of itself is a great reaction period. We've come here to seance. Is that a corpse? Yeah, the idea of a portal or a dark ichory substance spitting out a dead body. I don't know why that's really making me laugh. It is. It just simply is. I don't know why that moved to 11. Well, let's really hash this out, because I think I need to get this down kind of in the canon of the Backbrook sisters. Because the more that and again, a lot of campaigns you will play them and there's not really a justification. There's not really a why. It's sort of oh, this is kind of just what's happening. However you see fit, Dungeon Master. But this I really want to be locked down. So the Backbrooks, wealthy parents, had long had in their family this astral telescope, the solar sphere. The 4 rings are needed to activate it, right? To use this telescope requires 4 people wearing the 4 rings. Constructed from Ioun stones, as are the rings. Made for the 4 daughters of the family to keep in their possession, each enchanted in a similar way but different workings. Star, water, fire, and earth. The resolution of an argument between the parents, Larestes in the wrong and appeasing his soft-hearted Helen. A telescope capable of seeing. So he built the telescope for his wife. Cool, made by artisans. Great. Cool. So the 4 daughters. I don't like Nancy and Betty. Originally we put that in because I didn't think they were going to be really mentioned as much, but it's Nancy, Betty, Susie, and Mildred. No. So we'll say Nine, Belle, Phyllis, and Mildred. Cool. Fire, water, earth, star. Love it. Gold, silver, banded. Now, I want to also just, like, bang this out. Earth, star. Okay, now I want to, like, we'll revisit this because... Oop. I want to kind of, like, be a slow burn with it, but the party is sooner than later going to need to know exactly what these rings are capable of. And again, like, if I don't know, then how the fuck can they know? That's sometimes the problem with Homebrew is you're like, man, I really need to get to the bottom of everything. But I like the idea of all of the sisters attempting this, right? Said to have still been warned by a daughter. She fought to save it. I think the... Man, I'm so torn on this. What ring does she have? If the element she can be used to beat back the Blackacre, it's an awesome foreshadowing, for sure. Well, the idea is that, like, all four of them activate this telescope that does an enormous amount of radiant damage. In my mind, the rings themselves have, like, control water, control winds, bonfire. Like, you know, it, like, more or less gives them power to create or up the power of spells of fire or water or earth or wind. But for the fact that they're Ioun stones also means that they would have an additional benefit to that. Okay, great. So I think all four sisters go. Cool. Let me just sort of get this, because I think it is way more compelling if all four sisters were working together. They were coming together to sort of, like, you know, drive back this, like, horrible, horrible magical mishap. And that it overwhelmed them as well. Sisters endeavored together to push back the blight. Okay, yeah. They went to the great trees. Mildred to the grandfather tree. Okay, cool. They said, like, what ring does she have? She had the star ring. She had the star ring, and I'm hold up, but that's exactly... I love, we're so on the same wavelength. Like, the reason originally I wanted it to be Mildred within, like, basically Mildred throughout, is that they can now, because they have her ring, they can now arrive within the Howling Sands. They can see that, like, oh shit, this was a place that she stayed before she made it to the grandfather tree. And while, going to do this thing, she was praying to the old gods. She was like trying to like make this fucking happen. And that perhaps this moment where like the dark ichor is coming through, and it's kind of this sort of, this sort of almost ripple or memory being shown to the party, that the presence of her ring by way of the party arriving with it could perhaps like have a positive impact, could perhaps drive back the dark ichor. Like, what if them just showing up with the ring like brings Mildred to her senses, and she like shakes free and like puts out the fire and throws the kettle into the flames, and it just hisses, and as it does, this sort of personified howling sandstorm begins to dissipate and be cast aside. That to me is dope as shit. Okay, so let me just jot that down, and then we're going to see what the fuck these rings do, right? Other than, like, the incredible amount of cool shit we just said. Oh, fuck. I forgot I had this preset on here. Man, this shit slaps. On. Man, I love that beat so much. Sorry to just punch it up. Time to punch. Begins to glow. Cool. Need to make that a little bit lighter, you know what I'm saying? A little more legible. Okay, I like that a lot. Huilepa, I love where your head's at. Truly, all of that is heat. Me gusta el fume. I'm with it, man. I like it. Non è troppo caldo. That shit's good. It's not too hot. Star ring begins to glow. Mildred. Let me just move this off. Boink. Comes to her senses. She shrieks and kicks back from the kettle, upending it into the flames. Gesundheit. I love it. Oh, God bless. God bless you. Into the flames. I appreciate that, man. I needed that. I'll take all the blessings I can receive. Keep them going. In the flames, the ichor will sizzle and pop. Pop. Filling the hut with greasy smoke. Outside, the raging of the howling winds. Howling sands begins to lessen. Okay, fuck yeah. Now we're talking. So the real challenge here is going to be them, getting into the howling sands, right? This is all very fucking cool. Let me just get this one, right? Okay, so what would it be like for a party they need to break into, they need to get within a sandstorm. Like, that shit is hard as fuck. In my mind, initially, or until they can lessen it, it is totally obscured. Like, it's not necessarily blindness, but it might as well be. I mean, you need your eyes closed. You need something over your face. the sand is going 80 miles an hour a bunch of different directions. You're getting got. So a raging flute of sand and wind buffeting and ripping within its own vortex. I keep making the possessive the verb. And have missed? What do we mean by that? Like it's like doing damage from like the blow off of the sand? Or do you mean like actual like mist, like moisture? You know? Raging flute of sand and wind. And ripping. And ripping. Three tiers. Three tiers. The first being so one, wind and sand, made easier with the flute of wild winds, like that. Got it. So like super low visibility. I think it's completely obscure, man. Like a sandstorm, like I don't think you can even see. I mean, maybe we'll just split the difference. I think you can barely see like your hand in front of your face. You know what I mean? Like that's how I'm picturing it. Like this isn't a like bad weather situation. This is like, oh, this is magic manifesting as a storm. This is the manifestation, the personification of the loss of natural power. Here it is in this twisted form that's just like wreaking havoc. Man's basically gotta get it. Gotta get in there. Yeah, I hear that. It's true. I think there's also a third one, Hoilepa, which is like a magical sandstorm. You know what I mean? Which unfortunately, unless we're talking about The Mummy 2, I don't think it's ever happened. The scorpion. Whispers. Just from loved ones. Sees the Kagan. He met in... Fuck. Whoops. No, my bad. So Sundabar is... I just want... I need... Okay, Balak is Sundabar, right? Where we at with Balak? Where we at? She's his sister. I'll need to figure out what else there is that's going on there. But this is going to be basically a test. Charisma. They failed. I'll figure out the rest of what they're sort of doing there. But then 3. I think they see the world as it once was. A swath of rich green grass carpets the ground, housing the roots of an impossibly large tree. And I think there will be like tree blights and wood fiends to battle. A cabin, a hut built into the base. This feels dope as fuck to me. I'm with this. Me gusta, me gusta. Me gusta. Okay, last thing let's do. Let's get a feel for these rings. Here we go. So star is... Oh no, the wind is the other one. Opal controls water. Water of times equal to proficiency bonus. But then, I mean, like, I don't know if I should just straight up use Ionstone stats. You know what I mean? Like, for water. Let's see if there's one. Greater absorption. Wow. Wow. Well, see, these are crazy. Like proficiency increase. So does this like happen? It's considered to be an object being worn. When you use an action to toss one of these stones into the air, the stone orbits your head at a distance of 1d3 feet and confers a benefit to you. Thereafter, another creature must use an action to grasp or net the stone to separate it from you. Interesting. Huh. Stone has an AC 24, 10 hit points, and resistance to all damage. So, I don't think I will make the rings able to be destroyed. Because magical items like rarely interact that way, right? But I'm torn because I really like that. I mean, like, I think it was Vogley that had the idea of Ioun stones, and it's a great one. And I guess I'm sort of like, I want more on theme benefits. I think it should grant. Okay. I think intellect makes sense to me. Oh no. Water would be dexterity. I think that makes sense to me too. Agility. Great. Requires an attunement slot. Creates a faint orbit around one's head, the color of the stone. Power of agility. 2 bonus while wearing the ring. Cool. So star would be... Star spells. I'm trying to think, like... Celestial... I'm not crazy about that comparison. Circle of Stars for a druid is not a bad idea. Moonbeam... How high of a spell is Reverse Gravity? Let's find out. Where's the wisdom bonus? Inside, got it. Is this, how big is this? 7th level? Ay, 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 ay. Wow. So I think we do create Reverse Gravity, but with a 30-foot radius, or a 25-foot radius and a 50-foot high cylinder. Let's say 30-60, cool. That is a badass fucking spell. Wow. Aluminum quartz. Insight. Cool. Okay, I like it. Earth will be a ruby. I don't know why I had aluminum quartz like that, but that's fine. What would be a good... But you know what? Reverse Gravity. Except cylinder can be 60 feet high and 30-foot radius. Cool. I'm liking this. This feels balanced. It doesn't feel like it's going to break the campaign. One thing I know I will do is somehow break my own campaign. It's like, hey, Carpet, what happened, dude? It's like, well... I just spent an afternoon creating some items that ultimately undid everything that I had intended. Oh my god. Okay, Ruby. Grants resistance to fire damage in the 5th level. Produce flame. Cantrip. I like that. It really is like 101. Got your back. Got your back. Yeah, this is called fucking oneself 101. Although, let's be honest, Huilepa, at this level for us, it's like 103. This ain't no introductory course. We're good at it. This is the master class on sabotage. Okay, grants resistance to fire damage in the 5th level. Produce flame cantrip. Should we make it firebolt? Because they're all like fucking casters. So like, who cares? They already have this shit. You know what I mean? I like just having an infinite amount. Like, just like infinite. 5th level produce flame cantrip. I like it. I like it. Okay, so star... Oh, whoops. Put that on the earth for some reason. What kind of rock is the damn... Did I not already have this down? Ruby, opal... Like, what did I have down for that? Topaz. Okay, I'm cool with topaz. Make it electricity. Topaz. Dex. Okay. What do we think? Like, what's a good, like, earth? Earthquake is too much, right? I mean, this is like an 8th level spell, right? 6th, 5th? 8th level? Yeah, we ain't doing that. We ain't doing all that. Earth Trimmer. What we got? It's like 2nd level? 1st. Okay. Okay. So wait, you could trim each range. So range area 10 feet in the ground with it. So it's centered on yourself. Wow. Okay, let's say 5th level Earth Trimmer. Why not? Why not? The number of times equal to PB. I think this is cool. And what do we think? Strength or intelligence? Maybe cunning. While worn, I like it. Okay, I'm with this. These rings all make sense. So they all went in, right? They all were in agreement and in support of the same cause. We will go and try to push back this dark ichor, this blight, this scourge from the astral plane that's the result of this loss of magic, the source of it, as in the source of the loss. This is great. We have stuff to build out the random encounter table. I'm going to slow play everything with Baradon, because that feels the most fun. And because, frankly, it feels also realistic to me. Like, would a purse keeper, would somebody with, like, a pretty high rank, I think they would be curious as to why their boss sent somebody else. They're like, what the fuck? You checking my work? What is this? But I think they would have enough poise and status to not really be affected by it. You know what I mean? Okay. Guys, I love you. About to dip out of here. Oh. Just feels like yesterday I was knocked unconscious. Now I'm here with the good people. We'll be back next Wednesday, hopefully like in the morning slot. Sorry for the bump on that. I will likely be prepping for a one-shot birthday party for a group of 7-year-olds. Let's go ride the wave, baby. I need to pull up the email, but it's a very specific, like, world. It's not Five Nights at Freddy's. It's not that, but it's that kind of thing. Where it's like, oh, this is a very popular elementary, middle school, fictional world. and we're going to transpose it to D&D. So, see you there next Wednesday. Truly, as always, take care of each other.